Talk to us about your first 30 days going door-to-door selling.
I just felt like I was no longer the right driver.
In solar, there actually are variables that are out of your control. What are you actually selling this person? This is showing up as $40,000 to $30,000 in debt. They're dictatorships. They're actually monopolies in these areas, and they have full control. Is that going to put that family in a better financial situation? Do I really truly believe that?
You have to have full conviction in what you're doing,
Yes.
what you're selling the family, what you're providing. Solar, it's a want, it's not a need. People need life insurance to protect their biggest asset.
But the biggest thing you need to ask yourself is the vehicle that you're in. Your first 90 days in solar, the training is minimal. It's all kind of just fast paced, thrown at you. Go hit the ground running and go figure it out.
Like, bro, it's simply a numbers game. Starting in door-to-door sales is the best way to start in sales. But once you reach a certain caliber as a salesperson, it's simply not good use of your time.
The person who controls your overrides is the company in solar.
But not only that, is every single person we brought over that had a team in solar and they brought their team over here, they're all making way more money building a team here. All right. What's going on, guys? Podcast episode 11. And today I'm here with the boys. We got Turner Labrash and we got Jake Ratermann.
What's going on?
Welcome, guys. And today I just wanted to hop on here and, speak briefly on, because you guys both came from the solar industry. You guys were savages in solar. And of course, you guys have transitioned now into financial services, selling life insurance. And I just wanted to come on here and, break down the differences and the pros and cons between the industries, because we all know a lot of people in solar. We obviously know a lot of people in insurance. They're very similar in a lot of ways, and they're both high ticket sales. So just simply breaking that down and, seeing what makes the most sense. So first of all, was solar both your guys' first sales job?
It was mine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
First sales job. Mm-hmm. Okay. When did you guys start in solar?
About 2.5 years ago. So I sold solar for just about 2 years.
2 years. Jake, how long were you selling solar for?
I was selling for since January of 2023.
Okay.
So yeah, so I ended December of 2023.
How did you guys get recruited into it?
Well, you go ahead, Turner.
One of my close friends, one of my friends named Kyle, I was out of 9 to 5, driving a golf cart around campus, wanted to do something more, was just sitting there all day getting paid. One of my close friends found the industry, was making what it seemed like decent money, just brought me out, met the team, liked the culture and just the overall sales vibe. I always knew I wanted to be in sales.
For sure.
Yeah, me was honestly Indeed application. Someone told me about solar, that he was doing it, and I didn't really get too much from him. And then went and saw Infinity Energy, Earth Solutions, sales opportunity. I was like, oh, what is this? Check it out. And then, that was the beginning of it. And kind of just heard about knocking doors and was like, well, this would be humbling. And coming from, having a business and working in that atmosphere to literally knocking a door, trying to sell someone something. So pretty big shift in my life.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Talk to us about your first 30 days going door-to-door selling. What was that like?
Honestly, I found early success. It was something that kind of just clicked with me. Not a lot of people did find success in that industry when they were brand new. Usually the learning curve was longer. It took a long time for people to start making good money, but I kind of hit the ground running.
It's probably because you're so tall.
It's definitely a preoccupation. Open the door, see a 6'9" guy just standing there
100%.
staring at you. I always had to stand super far back from the door. It was a humbling
down on
experience. So, literally, it was a humbling experience, like Jake said. Obviously, not going to sell everyone, and I was in a very, very saturated market. It was Arizona. Just been around there for 10 years. So not a lot of people on my team were finding success, but I was just kind of felt like I was just getting lucky.
For sure.
Yeah, I started in California, which is quote unquote the most saturated market in the United States. And I found early success too. I remember like my first time on the door, dude, I just like shit my pants and I was just like I'm here net metering, and then like, okay, bye, and then just walked away, you know. But like, obviously, that gradually changed as you continue to put reps in,
right?
You know. But for me, I saw early success, and you know, for me, that was like, okay, you know, I was sold what everyone sold in solar. You know, knock a door, make $100,000, like, dude, you can do this. Anyone can, right? And so I think most people have that image when they get in the industry is it's a get rich quick thing. You know, that's like how they perceive it and that's their mindset. And I think that a lot of the times that is not the best mindset. I mean, a lot of times, anytime, that is not the best mindset to start somebody in. Because then that goes to the testimony of why solar does not have a very high retention rate. And that is because of that sole factor right there of kind of just setting improper expectations with individuals, right? Because there's no, our industry, you actually have to get a license. We don't need a license, dude. You know, we just, you want to knock some doors? Cool, bro. Here's a, here's a W-9. Go fill that out. Cool, brother. Let's go knock some doors. Like, that's it. You know, so it's a pretty unique experience in that. I was lucky to have a mentor in solar. So most people don't, you know, they're just like, here's a plot of land. Go knock on all of these, or not plot of land. Here's a neighborhood. Go knock this neighborhood and for a week straight and see what you can do. It's kind of like most people are set. Those are kind of the expectations, and that's kind of what was set for me for California too, as well. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. So you guys obviously grinded out. You guys found success in solar, and then what made you guys look into insurance?
I was reached out to. It had kind of fallen in my lap.
Yeah, share about how we met. This is a funny story.
Yeah, your girlfriend Claudia, Instagram DM me, hopped in a call with her.
Hold on. Let me stop you there. No, so that's not exactly what happened. We got to preface this. So I shot you a DM. You left me on red. And then we had the VA follow up on Claudia's account.
Yeah.
Claudia shot you a DM. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Attractive female. All right, hey, what's good? But little did you know, it was me logged in on the DMs, motherfucker. Some Andrew Tate shit.
She had a double text too, but she called me at a bad time where I was just cold calling. It was like a few tough weeks in solar. Noticed the market was just getting more and more saturated. A lot of things were changing. A lot of the guys that were originally finding success when I joined had already switched industries. And at that point, I just felt like I was no longer the right driver. It gave me some initial skills and helped my confidence early on, but I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't continue to grow selling solar, and it wasn't something that was going to be continually scalable. It was really important to me to make sure that whatever opportunity I got into, I could obviously build something big and look at the long-term vision, because no one wants to knock doors and sell solar forever. Something that hasn't been around for very long, probably won't. Obviously, it'll always be around, but it's been slowing down. Whereas, obviously, what appealed to me with life insurance is that it's just something that it's been around for hundreds of years. Like, people need life insurance. It's not like there's a shortage of neighborhoods you can knock on, not a shortage of people that need it, want it, and simply just getting to a position where you're not chasing after people and just trying to show up at their house at the perfect time of the day, but more so just obviously calling people that are actually looking for the service you're providing.
Did 100%. And because here's the thing about what attracted me about the insurance, because I was actually looked into solar. And if I wasn't selling life insurance, I probably would have gotten into solar. And I was also looking into real estate, but my mindset was, well, real estate's great, but it takes a while to build a book of clientele and gain traction. And about every 10 years, you're essentially out of a job. Every time a recession rolls around. And then I was like, solar was more appealing because it seemed to me that there was more money to be made in it. But I was like, well, what's the longevity in solar? And then I looked into insurance, and insurance has been around for well over 100 years. It's recession proof. Like, look back at how we thrived, how the insurance industry performed in 2008. We thrived. The dot-com bubble recession, dived. Even in the 1930s, when America was literally in the worst economic shape it's ever been in, the only place you could store your money where you had a positive return on your cash was in whole life insurance vehicles. So, just for me, what attracted me about the industry was having the peace of mind, knowing no matter what happens, me and my family are going to be okay, and I'm still going to have a job. Like if World War III broke out, and people would need life insurance even more. Sales would go through the roof. Not that they already are, but if there became, I don't know, Bill Gates took over, one world order. People would still need life insurance. It's simply logos on a spreadsheet. That's all that would change.
Exactly.
And then you look at how solvent the insurance companies are, where, I mean, bro, if the banks went under, the banks would go under well before the insurance companies ever did.
Entirely. Yeah, I think for me too, it was just like you hear this word career, pumping through my head every day, right? And honestly, one of the big things too is people in any type of sales, they want to make excuses, right? They want us to, it's this market, it's this. But in solar, there actually are variables that are out of your control, right? Correct. And that's one of the things too that was one of the biggest defying factors of looking at an additional industry or just looking at something else is obviously we could touch on more deeply later on of like the experiences that I kind of came across, but for me it was really like because I came from an entrepreneur mindset. I came from having a company. I wanted whatever industry I was in, I wanted to build something bigger than myself. And so going through the sales process of I traveled all over the country for solar. I went to, in California, New Mexico, like all these different markets. To be honest.
How many states did you sell in?
I sold in about 10 states.
10 states.
Yeah.
You're all over.
All over. And, from that experience, you can draw as like, dude, there's a demographic for every different state. It's a different sale for every state. Really, it is. Some people buy on logic, some people buy on emotion. Really, it's an entirely different sale. It's actually when we were in the Midwest is when everything was really based off of emotion. Really, there's no logic in solar at that point because the numbers don't really add up at the end of the day. I'm not selling someone a bill swap. I'm mainly just selling them savings over the next like 30 years, maybe like a couple grand in savings, but it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And I think when it comes down to, in my perspective, in that moment of, being in the industry, is it comes down to a game of variables, right? Like I said before, is I'm selling something that has about 20 different, I would say probably about 3 big variables, right? One of the biggest variable is you do not control the sale. Okay. You control Correct. The sale up into a point where they've signed docs and it's going to happen, but who inevitably controls that? Well, dude, it's a construction project, okay? It's construction. So if you've done anything or anyone has done anything and just looked at construction, well, there's permitting, there's the actual, getting the goods, getting the construction hardware, right? There's putting it on the roof. There's warranties. There's all of these different factors and variables that you have to consider when doing construction, right? And so that's one of the biggest things is you have to realize in an industry that has variables that you have no control over, what is that going to present itself? Inconsistency that you inevitably do not have control over. And that was huge for me, right? Is being in an industry where I know that I could sell someone. It could be the best day ever. I could have, just made $5,000 off of a solar deal and it just doesn't work out on that person's house, or the person never showed up for the site survey and I got screwed out of it and the person got scared and they just canceled, or whatever it may be. The roof was too old. I tried to sell them a new roof. Then it just made the project, $40,000 more expensive. Also, like,
or they talked on Sally and
Sally said exactly.
They want to
exactly
100%.
And then it also plays into ethics as well. Is you got to understand what you're selling this person, okay?
Yes.
So like people don't get it because when you're in solar, you're just like you're presented this. Here's an opportunity. It's a bill swap. That's all it is. You're just selling them a bill swap. But here's what they don't tell you, because this is the biggest thing when you look at it is what are you actually selling this person? Okay, that is a question that most people don't ask themselves. They just sell, because that's all that's told, right? Hey, Nancy, you're going to get a bill swap, and this is your new bill, okay? This is your new bill right here, okay? Sign docs here, right? That's how easy, that's not easy, but that's the sale in essence, is you're asking questions to see inevitably build a pain point to then, then swap their bill with a solar bill. It's just easy, right? Well, let's be honest here. Okay, let's talk about what it is you're actually selling that individual. Most of the times, if you're not in a state that has leases, you're going to be selling them a loan. Okay, so what is a loan? People think, oh, well, you know, I'm just selling you just something that's, you know, it's not going to report to debt to income, nothing like that. These are mostly all what's called secure loans. If they're unsecure, usually that means that they don't report to debt to income. Most of these are secure loans. So what that means is this is showing up as $40,000 to $30,000 in debt into their credit history. Okay, are you telling them that? No. It's a bill swap. You got this. Also, it all states that in the contract, but it's DocuSign, right? People, let's be honest, people aren't smart. Okay, I love America, but people aren't smart. They don't read the thin lines of anything. And so, you know, when I'm just telling you, smile on my face, you know, good looking solar guy, just like, yep, click here, click, cool, yep, hey, bill swap, you're not going to bring up what's actually going on, okay? And that's not what's talked about in the industry, is what you're actually selling an individual, okay? It's a loan, okay? This is something that's reporting their debt to income. This is something that is going to be something they're going to pay off for the rest of their time in their house, okay? Granted, that monthly payment should be under your solar or your electric bill, right? But again, do we know what's going to happen in the next couple of years? Okay, do we know what's going to happen with solar? Do we know what's going to happen to buyback rates? Do we know what's going to happen with anything in that regards? No, we have zero idea. We can tell the client that, yeah, you've been safeguarded by these agencies or whatever the electric companies are, but they're dictatorships. They're actually monopolies in these areas, and they have full control of everything that goes in and out of your home. So as a salesperson, you need to ask yourself, if I'm selling someone a loan that's adding $30,000 to $40,000 for their debt to income, that I don't even know what the heck's going to happen, right? And is that going to put that family in a better financial situation? Do I really truly believe that? I guarantee you, if you ask most people in solar and they were to give you the honest answer, I don't think that they really believe that, right? Where as I started to get into the industry and start training guys, and like I was kind of the guy who, you know, if we had an owl client, we would call them, where they're just like, I'm an engineer and I know everything about everything, right? They would kind of like say, hey, Jake, you should go take this, is because I spent time studying, understanding the actual components of the hardware, you know, what the degradation period, all those things that no one ever teaches. Okay, let's be honest. And that's something too that was the biggest transition moment for me, was when I realized, like, what am I selling this individual? Mm-hmm. And I think that's something too, is we don't really take into consideration when most people are in sales, but the product, the service, the sale is probably the biggest component that you could possibly materialize within your own career, is what you're actually doing, right? And that and variables were probably and I know I went a little bit longer on that, but I just wanted to kind of get out there, like, what solar actually is and what it does for the client is, you know, there are great stories about solar. I mean, Turner, you probably heard there are great people who are like, yeah, dude, I'm saving so much money. Thank you so much. But God, just take 1 second and go to like a Yelp review for a solar company. Just lists and lists and lists and lists and lists of people who just had the worst experience ever. I actually just had a client who I sold to in January. My company went bankrupt, and he got solar for free. They never invoiced him because they went bankrupt, and they're not. I mean, maybe the debt collectors have not gone through and gone through the invoices, but like, you know, you just got solar for free. But like, obviously, that just shows you.
Or the amount of companies that have gone under.
Right.
And then their solar panels never get turned on.
Right.
Done. Yeah, exactly. And that's like something that I needed to really process through my brain and kind of just understand where I wanted to be in sales, right? What I wanted to be doing to clients, how I wanted to be, because I'm a very moral and ethical person. I come from a background working, you know, for the fire department, helping people. That was my last company's entire objective, was to help people in other countries. And like, I didn't feel that moral competence that I should have been feeling in that industry, right? And so that's probably the main reason why, is the variables I had no control over, and then that moral dilemma.
But yeah, we're 100%. And how would you say that's translated into this? You know, selling with clients, how is that, you know, morally, and, you know, are you helping them?
Yeah,
You're selling
I mean,
life
honestly, Turner, if you want to touch on that real quick too, and then I'll harp on it. Like, honestly, just your experience, because I know you've told me a lot about, you know, that as well, your transition and kind of what you've seen from, you know, that sale in solar as well. If you want to just touch on that real quick.
For sure. What's huge for me is conviction. To sell anything,
Yes.
you have to have full conviction in what you're doing,
Yes.
what you're selling the family, what you're providing,
or else you're not going to perform.
or else you're not going to perform. I got to a point in solar, had a lot of early success, sales dropped off. Skill level went up. That was simply because sales is a transfer of energy. They could feel I wasn't fully convicted on what I was selling, what I was trying to provide. And obviously less people wanted it when it came down to that. And the main attractor to me with life insurance is obviously it's something that people actually need. Solar, it's a want, it's not a need. And in reality, for those that have sold solar, people don't really want it. Where life insurance, it's obviously something that people need.
Why do
protect their
people need life
family.
insurance?
People need life insurance to protect their biggest asset. The main thing we do here is mortgage protection. That way, if their parents were to get sick, pass away, the home is paid off. Their kids don't lose the home. They can continue growing up there.
Or the spouse.
Or the spouse. The home that they have memories in, have lived for sometimes 20, 30 years, doesn't have to go to the bank because they had a policy that was $100 a month. Where in solar, genuinely to me, I got to a point where I no longer was convinced that I was helping people. Maybe I was saving someone 10, 20 bucks a month if everything worked well and if what the proposal told me was accurate. In reality, a lot of times it wasn't. They were just paying more money from day one, where obviously with life insurance at the end of the day, it's just a lot more fulfilling. You know that you're helping that client. You know that you're helping their family. You're making a lot of money while doing it. Obviously the solar, the money was good. It's not like there's no money in solar. It just comes down to how you feel at the end of the night after pushing that deal through. When a lot of times you're just pushing solar deals through that shouldn't have gone through in general. Whereas in this industry, obviously we have all the carriers, all the products, like we are going to make sure that we put that family in the best possible position so that you can eat well, feed your family well, but also know that at the end of the day, you truly helped and served that client, which I didn't really experience a lot in solar.
1,000%. Jake, why is life insurance important?
So let's start off too. I want to just touch on, like, what is the process of life insurance, right? What's the process of life insurance versus solar? I think it's a huge one to touch on because, like, what's life insurance? Okay. You get on the phone with the client. They already wanted it. They already filled out something, a form that you now have that says their mortgage, their first and last name, their date of birth, everything that the client has already filled out and given to you because they are asking for help. As you like to say, they're raising their hand and saying, please help me with life insurance. Okay.
Correct.
Now, you get the client on the phone. You have full control of the sale. You're asking the why. You're really developing a relationship with this client. You're trying to understand about their kids, their family, their future, what their plans are, what their finances look like, how to best help them in their situation. And remind you, I don't work for one company. Right? I'll work for, a laundry list of, 20 plus carriers within the United States. So I'm actually able to help this client. I'm not a State Farm agent saying, oh, well, Becky, you didn't get approved for our premium plus plan, but you know what? We'll go ahead and just give you this accidental because that's all we can give you, right? Which is a policy that's only going to pay out if she dies in a car accident, which is like 0.5% chance of happening, right?
Right.
I can actually go through these carriers and find the person, not only the thing that's going to be affordable, not only the thing that's going to make the most sense, but also that they're going to qualify for, right? And so the process goes, we help them, I qualify them, they get the coverage in the mail in the next 7 to 10 business days. The coverage is immediate issue paid. So boom, there comes out of their bank account, that monthly payment for them. They know it comes out. Everything's transparent. They get an email with all of the information as well. And then the client gets a policy packet in the mail within the 7 to 10 business days. Now the coverage is active, okay? I didn't wait. I didn't have to wait months. The coverage is active, right? Now at that point, I then get paid, okay? 3 to 5 business days after. Sometimes, some of the carriers even do it within 24 hours, okay? So now I'm paid for that, all right? Now that's the process of life insurance, okay? Now what's the process of solar?
Wait, so You're not having to wait 3 months to get paid on life insurance?
Yeah, no, sorry, no, not 3 months actually. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, we get paid a few days later.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I want you guys to understand this too is
Have
like,
you ever got paid on a life insurance policy?
I have not. Isn't that crazy?
Never?
No.
What a
Never?
concept.
Yeah, it's crazy is they didn't actually have to do a site survey for my life insurance deal, which is nuts, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, they didn't actually have to climb on their roof and determine, if solar panels if anything would work in their life. I just sold to them. Like, I didn't have to wait, 7 months till the power turned on and, the PTO'd.
No, 100%. And we'll talk about that here in a sec, but I just want to touch on what you guys said because that's so, so important, is really the importance of life insurance. Where I had an agent ask, we were in the corporate office, we went in the corporate Indiana office, and then an agent come up to me, this was a couple months back, and he was brand new, and he was like, do you believe in what we're selling? And I looked at him, and I walked up to the wall, and on the wall, there's a bunch of the agents in the agency, and these pictures have been on the walls for some time now because back in the day when we were running in person, I was running in person the first 2 years in this business. And so I have thousands and thousands of pictures on my phone with clients because after every sale, I'd take a picture with them, smiling at their kitchen table. And just coincidentally, this one picture was chosen out of all the thousands to put on this wall. And the story was, this was well over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago now. And obviously we're virtual, which is a complete blessing. I love in-homes, and I love, sitting at their kitchen table, helping, serving them, getting fed. Like, that's all great, but
Right.
I never want to drive out to a client's house. The field was a grind. But this particular day, I had a new agent in my office. And he's like, Jonah, I want to see what a day in the field's like. And I was like, bet. All right. So I got an old batch leads for a couple bucks. It's like 3-4-year-old leads. And,
Right.
We're both grinding through them. We're both calling. We're both booking appointments. And, we got about 8 appointments lined up for the next day. And down in Indiana. So, we woke up early, drove down there, and had a full day of appointments, and sold quite a few policies. But one of them, I'll never forget this is we pull up, and I remember calling her the day before, and I call her, and this was a few-year-old lead, and she was like, oh, yeah, nobody's called us about this. When can you come over? I'm like, well, they got me dispatched out there tomorrow. She's like, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm like, boom, 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 booked an appointment with her. That's how I wish every phone call went.
Right, of course.
The perfect client. So we go out there, and it's this $500,000-$600,000 home on the golf course, beautiful house, Crown Point, Indiana. And we show up, and it's a Hispanic family, mid-40s, just the sweetest, nicest couple and the nicest family. And, we sit down and, we explain everything. And I usually try to keep my appointments to, 45 minutes to an hour, but we were in the house for almost 2 hours just because, we're chit-chatting and talking.
Yeah.
We give us cookies and coffee and everything else. And but anyway, so we were able to help her with the policy that covered her entire mortgage, because at that point she owed $500,000 on the mortgage, put a $500,000 policy in place.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for helping us. We've been meaning to get this taken care of. So, and anyway, that was a year and a half ago. This was around actually this time last year.
Yeah.
She called me, and I answered right away because I have all my clients saved to my phone with a picture of them. And when I was in their home, and she called me, and she's crying. And I calm her down. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Her name was Moretta, and it's finally she's like, stops crying. She's like, my husband passed away yesterday at work due to an accident. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And this guy was in perfect health. Nothing wrong with him. Got him approved on the spot. Boom. And he passed away. He's in construction. And we got that death claim paid out to her, and now her house is paid off. And she was just sobbing. She's like, thank you for coming over. Thank you so much for helping us.
Right.
Because she was a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids in the home.
Right.
And dude, if I wouldn't have called her and we wouldn't have gone over the other day, I don't know what she told me. She's like, we would have probably lost the home. I don't know what I would have done if you wouldn't have helped me. Thank you so much for helping me. And I mean, it's, obviously, I mean, it's just the importance of what we do is just, I mean, yeah, we're in sales. Yeah, we're selling a product, but I couldn't think of anything more important we could possibly be selling.
On the flip side too, I think Turner probably has one of the most unique stories of not being able to help an individual. I remember you telling me when you weren't able to help that individual when they passed, when they were thinking about it, right? Do you want to touch on that really quick too? Because that's a pretty crazy story.
It happens. Sometimes you're going through these leads, not as thorough with some as you are with others. Maybe one you only call 2-3 different times, then just get the new batch. And there was a client where I had called him a few times, left a voicemail, texted, no response. They actually responded and said, I'll call you after work. Never got a response. And then about a month later, I got a text from their daughter. Said that they had just passed, asked me if the policy was set up, asked me if they got anything. And unfortunately, I had to tell them that we didn't. That they don't have a check that they're expecting that would likely make that probably one of the worst times of their life a much easier transition and process to make sure they don't lose the home. So me not being diligent enough and working my leads properly, I feel like I'm slightly responsible for not helping that family and making sure that the daughter was covered.
100%. And it's, I mean, when I dial the phones and, when I run appointments, this sounds morbid, but in the back of my mind, I picture, when I'm speaking with clients and going through the process, I'm like, I think, and I psych myself, I'm like, this person's going to pass away tomorrow, but I'm the only person that knows. And when you have that type of mentality, it's, obviously we get paid a ridiculous amount of money doing so. Yeah. And we get paid great money, but it's the value that and the impact that we're providing on families is incredibly superior.
Nowhere else. And I think one of the things too that, if we don't mind touching on is just the longevity, right? Is, I like I said before, career is something that came through my mind continuously going through solar. It's like, dude, how long can I do this? Right? And, with helping families, obviously that's a no-brainer aspect of why you would want to, choose an industry versus another industry is the sole moral dilemma of actually being able to support and help and protect a family. Right? That's a huge boost of why, right? Because I think a lot of the times motivators are a huge thing of why we want to do sales in general, right? Is we were trying to find our why. I think that's a big thing in sales, right? Everyone's like, try harness and find your why, right? And I think that's a good one to have, is to help families. But I think a bigger why too, a lot of the times is people have is like, where do they see themselves, right? And I think a lot of the times it's the person, right? The person is being successful in any industry. If the person is diligent, hardworking, structured, and is willing to just put it all on the line, they're going to be successful in whatever industry they go in, right? So there's killers in solar, there's killers in life insurance, but the biggest thing you need to ask yourself is the vehicle that you're in, right? Because you can be successful. I'm sure there's killers out there, right? Who are like, dude, solar is the shiz. Like, I'm killing it here. I'm making so much money. But again, what vehicle are you in, right? And that's what you got to ask yourself. And that's what I ask myself too, is like, what vehicle can I put myself in that's going to lead me in the direction of the most success? And I thought about that, right? And, you look at the comparison from solar versus life insurance. And I think the biggest thing that you pull from that is this is a business where it's all about longevity, okay? You're building your book of business. Your book of business is there for the rest of your career, okay? You can find new policies for them every year. You can make sure that their family, extended family, is helped, right? They don't even need to have a mortgage. They don't even need to have a house. They don't need anything. They just need an income, money coming in, right? That's all they need to get protection, to pay for a policy, right? Also, the second thing you need to ask yourself is, how many times am I getting paid on a solar deal? I'm getting paid one time. I don't get residuals. I don't get income coming in. I can't manage or sell my book of business. Like, there's nothing that can happen there. Okay. Life insurance, again, the difference there is you have your book of business. You can manage them. You can profit from that and get residuals every single year that policy is in place. Right. And also you need to think of longevity in the fact of, where do you want your career to stem from and where do you want to grow as an individual?
Correct.
In solar, you're structured to a, it's the same thing day in and day out, but also you're structured to what the market does. Okay. What the market is entirely, you're dependent entirely on what the market does in your career, right? If the market goes down with solar, and it gets flooded, or the power companies make it not legal or whatever in that state, you're done for, right? Like I remember selling a deal, and they needed a main panel upgrade, but because of the because of the power company, they had to wait 10 months to get a main panel upgrade, so they can then install the system. In solar, you get paid only when the system's installed, right? So I had to wait 10 months. I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, that was a great Christmas present, Jake. A great job for selling that one, right? That's the thing too, is like, being in the vehicle that's going to put you in a career that's going to allow you to excel and actually grow is one of the biggest things that I think anyone who's looking and making a transition from solar to life insurance needs to ask themselves. Because a lot of the times in sales in general and in solar, people are riding the money wave. It's a cash grab. They want that money. But what's more important than money? Making money in the short term or making money in the long term? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest question that people need to ask themselves when moving into this industry and actually considering this industry.
Correct. But let's switch it up. Let's switch it up for a second and talk to us about your first 90 days selling solar versus your first 90 days here selling insurance.
For me, the learning curve with insurance is a whole lot faster than solar. Obviously, in solar, you start out generally as a setter. You're setting appointments for the closers who've been there for years. They have their setter army, and everyone kind of wants to get to a point that they're in. But with solar, the unfortunate part about it was it just felt like an industry I couldn't introduce to my friends, to my family. I felt like everyone I brought in didn't find similar success that I was finding. And realistically, it seemed like the top 5-10% of solar guys were making 90% of the money. Mm-hmm. And it just got to a point where the retention's terrible with solar. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason for that. It's something that you need a lot more skill for. It's an in-person, face-to-face sale. Obviously, with this business, I've been able to bring a bunch of my close friends in, been finding really great success for the sole reason that we're just sitting reading a script. Like, who can't read a script? 90% of the people here work the same exact script, and it's just a matter of following it.
And the same leads.
And the same leads. So here, it comes down to, if you're not successful, like, it's on you. With solar, there's so many crazy variables. I just like how simple things are. Doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
Facts.
Yeah.
How about yourself,
and
Jay?
I think 90 days here versus 90 days there, I think it really just came down to, like he says, variables obviously, but really what it comes down to too is, my first 90 days in solar, where I'm trying to figure out the sale, right? Where there's not a whole lot of structure, right? Because the biggest thing is when you want to grow a business, I think anyone in solar needs to understand this as well, as like, most people come from an entrepreneurial mindset. Most people want to build a business. Your first 90 days in solar are probably going to be the first 90 days for every single rep, which is figure it out, very little structure. The training is minimal. It's all kind of just fast paced, thrown at you, go hit the ground running and go figure it out. Okay. I'm grateful for, having the attributes to where I can actually do that. Right. And that's just from constant failure in life. But most people can't. Most people cannot just get thrown into something and just prosper and be great at it, right? It's not easy. So the biggest difference between 90 days in solar and 90 days here is solar, no structure. I'm literally thrown to the wolves, go figure it out, go eat what you kill is what they say in solar. Eat what you kill, right? This is the biggest thing that they say, right? Interesting perspective. But the second thing is, the second portion, which would be life insurance first 90 days, is, there's structure, there's systems, there's a script, there's training, there's an entire onboarding process that's fluid, that makes sense. And granted, there's
live dials, there's support. You have a question, there's always 5 managers on deck at all times. You can call. We help you through your first 10, 20, 30 closes. You call us. We help you close it. We don't take half your commission. Et cetera, et
Yes,
cetera.
and the biggest thing too is my first 90 days in solar, I'm worried about this other company paying me. Okay? My first 90 days in life insurance, I don't have any of those worries. I'm not worried about anything. All I'm worried about is picking up the phone and dialing. I don't have to worry about my deal not paying out. I don't have to worry about some random thing happening and then me stressing because I thought I was going to make 10 grand that month and instead I made 0, right? Your first 90 days, because most people come into sales not from the most financially stable positions, let's be honest, right?
Correct.
And my first 90 days in solar, I did not come from a financially stable aspect. I lost my company. I was thousands and thousands of dollars in debt from legal fees. Like, I needed a vehicle that was just gonna like help me. And I honestly wish that I came into life insurance before because of the initial ability to scale quickly, scale methodically, but also not have to worry about things that are outside of your control, especially when you're new. Because then as a leader, if you're going to want to grow your business, which I'm sure most people want to do in solar, right? Think about the reps that are coming on that aren't you, that aren't, just very easy to pick up, eat what they kill mindset immediately off the bat. You've got to deal with them. Okay. So if you think about the scalability and being able to build from that, it's a no-brainer because your first 90 days are going to be everyone's 90 days in this industry, but just based solely off of how much work you put in.
Correct. And I want to touch on that because that was huge. Bro, and let's just speak some numbers here. And, first of all, I want to say like nothing against the solar industry because, we're all very well connected to the solar industry. I know a lot of people making a lot of money in solar, but it's comparatively like solar to insurance. I mean, bro, at this point, in the past 6, 7, 8 months, we've brought on about 100 individuals specifically from solar. And we've essentially increased their income, every single person's income across the board.
Yep.
They're all making more money here than what they were making in solar.
Yeah.
And a couple of things to that, like you hit on that, is like number one, the support system, the structure, the training, the culture, everything we've built. But the main and primary reason, and I can't even take credit for this, is simply the business model.
Yeah.
Where I'm a firm believer that starting in door-to-door sales is genuinely the best way you can start in sales. Best way. And
hands down.
It gets to a certain point where, pretty much like 85% of the people that work here came from door-to-door sales, have door-to-door experience.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where like we essentially, especially like if I'm bringing someone direct, you have to have door-to-door sales. I will not hire you direct unless you have done door-to-door. Like straight up.
It builds character.
It builds character. Yeah. Cause you like knocking doors and selling doors is one of the hardest things you can do. So if you take those skills and you translate those skills anywhere else, especially to a business like this, and you give somebody a stack of leads of somebody that filled out a form, requested their help, they're thinking about it, they're in the market for it, and essentially they raised their hand and said, please help me, and you're only calling those people all day long, and there's no cold calling, no door knocking, no selling to your friends and family. Like, bro, it's simply a numbers game.
Right.
Because, like I said, starting in door-to-door sales is the best way to start in sales. But once you reach a certain caliber as a salesperson, it's simply not good use of your time or leverage.
Right.
Because you're spending 85% of your time searching for leads, trying to book appointments. When as a salesperson, you don't get paid to acquire leads and you don't get paid to book appointments.
No.
So just having the ability to purchase leads gives you so much of your time back. So you can spend that time calling people and filtering through all the riffraff and simply calling people that are only interested and that are in the market for your product or service, which is going to allow you to spend more time closing. And in addition to that, and another primary reason is we're virtual.
Yeah.
Like that absolutely changed the game for our business because like I said, my first 2 years I was running all in person, driving, and like same thing with solo. Like the amount of time you spend driving out to a client's home, getting no-showed, rescheduling, driving back. Dude, I would drive up to Wisconsin. I worked large portion of Illinois. I worked Indiana.
Yeah.
Dude, I spent a ton of time in the car. So just having the ability to call people.
Oh my gosh, dude, don't even get started on the car.
Yeah. You more than you. You in another state. Like you live.
Yeah.
Like I was still home pretty much.
Yeah, I sold my Jeep in June or May of 2023. I bought a Prius with 60,000 miles on it. I had 100,000 miles on it by the end of December.
Wow.
So I put 110. So I put 50,000 miles on my Prius in the course because we were driving state to state to state to state to state. Like
I did about the same actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you realize too is like everyone always focuses on money making activities, right? That's the goal to being successful in solar and sales. And I think it was really cool how and important to preface like there's nothing against solar, right? Like we have nothing against that industry. You know, it honestly was probably one of the better industries that I started in that allowed me to gain skills just for the sole aspect. I was just thrown to the wolves kind of mindset, right? Like knocking doors is probably one of the great things to start out in sales.
A blessing,
right? And I would not attribute, I would not be able to attribute any of my success if I did not have done that, wouldn't have achieved that door knocking and been in that industry. So I think it's very important to preface, we don't have anything against that. It's just simply drawing the connections and drawing the dots of what another opportunity looks like. And I think, pointing out the driving aspect, dude, is money-making activities, right? As we focus so hard on them in sales, let's be honest. In solar, you're spending like at least, and I counted this too because I was curious. It's like how many hours a day am I actually spending driving, right? Especially when you become a closer. As a setter, like, maybe you're just like knocking doors, but like, dude, as a closer, you are constantly driving to appointment to appointment to appointment. Ghost, no show. Dude, I could tell you, like, honestly, I probably, put like at least 4 hours a day in driving. Mm-hmm. Like same. 4 hours I could have been working. You know what happens when someone no shows for a life insurance deal?
Call the next lead.
I just call the next person, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I do is instead of driving, I actually just move my thumb over to the right and then I just hit a button. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that nuts, dude? But yeah, that's it. That's literally probably the biggest difference I would say too for people just considering when money making activities, because that's huge in sales, right?
But in all seriousness, just the time efficiency aspect of it goes crazy. Like we're able to reach 5 times the amount of people and run 2-3 times the amount of appointments, which directly correlates to more spent time closing and of course more income earned.
I love that we're talking about this too, because this is an industry where not everyone coming in is only super concerned about the money. People obviously are looking for a way to develop their skills, increase their ability in sales and just closing in general. And what I found in this industry is that really you're closing all day. Where in solar, you have to fight for those presentations. Presentations are so few and far in between, to where in reality your actual sales and closing ability gets developed at a much slower rate, just because it's so much harder to get those presentations, harder to get in front of people and get to that point where you're kind of trying to get the client over that buying line. Correct. Where I noticed with insurance, obviously there's days where you run 5, 7, 8 presentations, and the amount that you can gain from doing 5 presentations a day in even a week, whereas with solar, when you're closing deals, getting like 2 presentations a week is like pretty much the standard, and that's like max. It really depends on how many kind of setters you have, or in this industry you don't need to rely on other people to find your leads.
Yeah, that's huge. The biggest thing, because your setters quit.
Right.
Like,
you don't have much, bro. You're back to self-generating it.
Yeah, and not only, talk about the time efficiency on the front end, but you also on the back end too, where you guys said it, where with, when you sell a solar deal, you don't control the full process. Mm-hmm. You might sell it. John and Mary might love you, thank you, Turner. Thank you so much for helping us and saving money on our electric bill and da-da-da-da. But then they talked on Sally, and Sally's, oh, so that's a scam. Solar's a scam. Cancel. And now they want to cancel, or, like you said, the installers don't come, net metering company doesn't come. They need a new roof, they need new electrical, and they get declined because of their credit.
Me and Turner also, like, to just jump in real quick. I apologize for interrupting. It was just me and Turner still have families that are probably still reaching out to us, just like, what is going on? Like, I still have families who are reaching out to me to this day, still asking me, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't even want to think about this anymore. And people always are like, and so like, dude, my pipeline, like, okay, cool, my pipeline. But imagine as well is what happens if that pipeline doesn't go well? Who are they calling? Are you going to ghost them? What's your moral aspect on that, right? And one of the things too is like, dude, one of the things I experienced too in Illinois is we were selling solar to individuals. And, you would have to preface that I would, because I'm ethical with it, but most people would not in solar. It's just kind of the way it is you want to like sweet talk your way into making them sign docs, right? But dude, the power companies, the PTO process, which stands for permission to operate, was about 6 to 8 months after the panels had even been installed, sometimes a year. Okay, what does that mean? That means the client is paying for solar that doesn't even work for 6 to 8 months. Like, let that process for a client. So in life insurance, I'd be saying, hey, John, you're going to be paying for a life insurance policy for about 6 to 8 months before it even actually happens for your family. Is that okay with you? Like, that's the process I would have to go through in my head, right? And I don't want to do that, right? And I think a lot of the times too, we just don't put it into perspective. We want to flood it out. We want to just put in our head, dude, it's grind mode. Like, we got to work past it. Let's sell these people. But like, that's not something, honestly. And it's not about solar being bad. Okay. Solar is not bad. It's the variables in the industry that don't allow you to achieve the success that your input versus your output, right? I think that's extremely important, right? You touch on that all the time. Is you want to see in commission-based sales jobs, you want to put all of your input should equal your output.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
That just was not the same. And I just wanted to harp on that too, and just kind of touch on it real quick, was just that those experiences that I've had many, many other ones as well, but that was just one of the biggest ones too, that kind of was just, put me back.
Bro, my very first system was my mom. An installer fell through her roof.
Oh my God.
She paid for the panels 5 months before they got turned on. Not refunded.
Damn.
So she was paying an electric bill and a $250 solar payment. And they weren't even on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I had another funny thing is we were actually in Ohio, in Cincinnati, and we were selling with this installer that, God, it was not great. I think I had 20 deals with that company, and was supposed to get paid, if anyone in solar knows, I was supposed to get paid at least bare minimum, like, $300 kilowatt, right? I ended up getting like, I don't even know, I think it was, or not, sorry, 300, at least $1,000 a kilowatt. Mm-hmm. And I think I got paid maybe $100 to $50 a kilowatt. I think some deals I made like $200.
That's nothing.
Like, and I was just like, dude, like, what is going on? And I remember going one time to visit one of my installs, and I kid you not, it looks like they just went to the border, just like picked, a couple of people off from the border and then just drove them, or like, when you go to Home Depot and just like go grab some guys from Home Depot and throw them up on the roof. I swear to you, I was just like, who the hell? And I was like with my client too, and I was just embarrassed. I was just like, what's going on? Jeez. But we don't see that. Most solar guys, they sell a deal and it's gone, right? Like, you're not following up, you're not doing, and that inevitably leads to a cancellation. But like this, I'm able to nurture my business. I'm able to control every aspect of it. And if the client cancels, I know the exact reason why they canceled.
Correct. And not only that, but there's not the cost of fulfillment. You're not selling them a construction project. The cost of fulfillment isn't months. It's simply you get them on the phone. Typically, we one call close it.
Yeah.
Or book an appointment. Usually, it's a one call close. So in the span of 45 minutes to an hour, you're simply asking questions, figuring out what makes the most sense financially for their situation, what their needs are, and what their budget is. You're helping them with the policy. You're getting them approved on the spot. And then you're simply paid 24 to 48 hours to a week later, within that time range. And also, I want to preface this for everybody watching, Prosper Financial doesn't pay you. AmeriLife, Pinnacle, they don't pay. Like, you're an independent contractor. Like, your contracts are direct to the various companies you sell with. So what that means is if you sell a Mutual of Omaha policy, you're getting paid directly from Mutual of Omaha. If you sell an F&G, you're getting paid directly a few days later from F&G or whatever company you sell.
And most people probably want to build a business, right? They're
Correct.
Probably in solar, they're killers, and they got like 5, 10, 20 agents under them, or reps, right?
Correct.
So how does that correlate to this industry is just like you're saying, the person who controls your overrides is the company in solar, okay? The company controls, and you tell me how many times I had issues with that. I'm like following up, dude, what's going on? Where's my payment? You know who controls your overrides or any sort of back-end payment you're getting in life insurance? The life insurance companies, who give you a statement. You know exactly when you're going to get paid. You can see the hierarchy ladder. You know exactly when that's going to happen. You see once your rep gets paid, you get paid. That doesn't happen in solar, right? And as someone like me who wants to build something, I want to build something in a realm, in an industry that's sustainable and transparent all the way through.
Correct. But not only that, is every single person we brought over that had a team in solar and they've brought their team over here, they're all making way more money building a team here.
Yeah.
And they're making way more money. In addition to that, they have much more longevity because you guys know it's door-to-door industry. Like, this is a summer job. So there's a lot of people that have built a lot of successful solar teams and made a lot of money, but they know for a fact that if they hire 100 people, 90 days from now, only 2 of those people are going to be left. And those 2 people that are left have a shelf life of typically anywhere between 12 to 24 months. So yeah, you're just constantly churning through people, but everybody we recruit and hire here is not only you have longevity. Like, dude, like the people we bring on, like you guys, like I'm looking forward to working with you guys for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like, insurance is a career.
It's a career.
It's a career, and it has longevity. It's not a summer job. It's not going to be, the insurance industry isn't going to be turned over 10 years from now and out of business. So you never have to worry about those factors. And then in addition to that, when you're building a team, the pay structure, like when you're building a team and recruiting guys and training guys, the insurance company is compensating you for that. That's not money you're taking out of the reps' pockets. That's why the commission goes over 100%, because the insurance company has 2 options. Like any sales company, they're like, hey, I could either hire recruiters, staff, payroll, trainers to train the agents, support, or I could simply pay Jake to build and manage a team and sell our products. I could pay Turner to build and manage a team and sell our insurance products. Right. And that's exactly what they do.
I mean, let me ask you a question. What's probably the biggest fear in corporate America, like that people have working corporate jobs? The biggest fear?
Lack of stability.
Lack of stability, but probably losing their job, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me ask anyone a question who is even listening to this is, if you're in solar, okay, you've built this massive empire, you've made tons of money, right? Boom, you've got cash. Now, what's the difference between you and corporate America? Because at the end of the day, the market and these solar companies, they have control, because one moment everything could dissipate.
Correct.
So aren't you the same as corporate America? Because you could lose everything, right? And then you look at it over here on the side of life insurance, and this is an important comparison because this is what I compare to my own mind, is, what happens if, something happens, recession, like the market goes down? Oh, my business is going to go up. Why? Oh, because when recession happens, people need more life insurance. When things bad, when COVID happened, people needed more life insurance. So when something bad happens in society, I'm not a victim to that, right? And I think that's a very important comparison that I had to put in my own perspective, is like, especially for builders in the industry, of any industry, is you are still comparison to corporate America. As much as you want to say that you're far away from that, you have so much comparison, because the market could tell you no, and they're in control of your business. And if it goes away, it goes away. What are you going to do?
Correct.
Now you got to build back up. Where you know your business. Dude, if you quit life insurance today, like, you would still be making a ridiculous amount of passive income. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's a fact. And not only that, but having exactly what you said, Jake, having true ownership and true control of your business.
Yeah.
You're not having a company man, because basically, like, a lot of people, they say they own their own business, they say they're on their own sales organization. Yeah. Bro, you're just an employee. Yeah. Like, if you quit, you would have nothing. Yeah. You wouldn't bring anything with you. And in closing, what would you guys say to the person that's watching this, where they're in the solar, or just frankly the door-to-door industry in general? They're in a spot where, dude, they're doing good. They're making good money, but it's one of those things, they're not sure if they're willing to go from something where they're doing good to something that will be a little bit of learning curve and have peaks and valleys, but eventually to something great. What would you guys say to that person?
I was in that exact position. I was doing fine. I got to a point where I looked in the mirror. I was like, can I do this long term? Am I going to be able to still be doing this 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the road? And realistically, the answer was no. And I knew that I was only starting to make less money as the conviction was going away. Wanted something that I could actually see me be able to build a big business off of down the road. One thing I don't feel gets talked about enough is the only way to make good money in solar is to price gauge people. A lot of the people that are making that $1 million a year solar money, they're pricing people crazy high so they could get a good commission. Obviously, the higher you price them, the less you're truly helping them. Whereas in this industry, you're finding a product form, most of the time one of the cheapest ones in the market, and you don't decide the price, and you get still paid handsomely for it.
Regardless of what they're paying, you're still getting the same percentage of commission.
Correct. No brainer, to me at least.
Absolutely. Would you say?
I would say everyone who's in solar, pull up their banking app right now. I want you to look at it. I want you to be honest and transparent with yourself. How much money are you making? Really be transparent. I know it's hard. A lot of times in solar and in general in sales, we want to just trick our minds in thinking that we're going to be a millionaire. How much money are you making? Look at that bank account. For how much time, energy, and effort you put into it, how much money are you genuinely making? Okay? Now I want you to put in perspective, what would happen on the flip side? Are you open to other opportunities where, you might be able to actually look at that bank account again and see substantial growth? Okay? Also, I want you to look at that bank account and say, hey, for my time, energy, and effort in an industry, when and how long is it going to take me where I can put myself in a situation where the only variable out of anything in my life is myself? The time, energy, and effort that I put into my work is going to pay me exactly for that. And if you can ask yourself that question and come up with an answer even relatively close, then I think there's no reason why you can't open your income opportunities to something else. And honestly, I think that's really kind of the thing that I told myself as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, in closing and lastly, if they want to, if someone's watching this and wants to work with you guys, how can they reach you?
Instagram. DM me. Always willing to help new people, willing to mentor people.
What's your IG handle?
TRNER. Turner, my name.
What if they want to call you or text you? What's your number?
You can call me, text me, 916-642-6065. Happy to help.
You slide into my DMs, Jake, Jake. This is a tough one. Make sure you write it down. Ratermann, Jake.Ratermann. And you can just hit me up. I'd be happy to help you. And we can work something out.
What's your phone number?
My phone number, you can reach my business line. I don't want people, hitting up my mom, but I'm just kidding. 760-533-2472. Hit me up.
Let's go. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys hopping on today. Let's keep striving.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you, brother.